Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Starting up early with a nice blowing your ears out with a loud hello. We're coming at you live from outside the Matrix, podcasting from outside. This is Work Hard.
Hello, North Korea. This is South Korea.
Good morning.
Sending you balloons.
Yes. And
Freedom pamphlets. Did you see that story about North Korea sending balloons back to South Korea that were full of excrement
Dead rats?
and trash?
No, I did not see that. I did not see
And
that.
the whatever his face is, the leader's sister, that psycho lady.
Oh, yeah,
North
yeah,
Korea,
yeah.
his sister.
Yeah.
Said that they were like Goodwill packages to
Excellent.
just super sarcastic.
Excellent.
I was like, wow.
Excellent. Excellent.
Who wouldn't want to be married to that?
Right. Dude, the vindictiveness.
Passive aggressive, vindictive,
Yeah.
psycho woman.
Yeah. Just a nice bitch. Who doesn't want to be married to just a nice bitch? So, good morning, everybody. It's morning for us, so we'll say good morning to you. Welcome to Work Hard. I'm your host, Ethan. With me is my co-host, Jason.
Hello, everyone.
Hope you guys are having a good time. Hope you guys are having a good week. We took a couple weeks off there. We're back. We got busy. Jason is a farmer, and I am a failed business person. I'm just kidding. I'm not a failed business person. I'm actually.
He's working on
paper.
becoming a successful business
Yeah, I'm actually.
person.
Yeah, as far as like the career path goes, that's going pretty well. But we haven't started the small business yet. I got a. I have an idea.
I love it.
So I've been thinking.
I love ideas.
I've been trying to figure out.
They make me so excited.
I
can hardly contain myself.
I've been.
Ethan, what's the idea?
Thank you, Jason, for mocking me as I become vulnerable before you.
No, I'm. You called me an idea guy once because I'm constantly spewing ideas.
I know.
I'm not mocking you at all.
I'm busting your balls. I'll give you a hard time. What was the? Oh, I can't say what the idea is because I'll tell you off mic. But if I say it publicly, it will totally ruin the idea.
Yeah, sure. No, you can't.
But it's
do
my
that.
first.
You can only tell a select few about your good ideas
Right, exactly.
until
And-
they pan out.
yeah,
Then
we'll
you're like,
see.
I told you all. No, I didn't. But
even when it pans out, I can't tell anybody about it. Like it won't be until the
Okay.
project has reached its fruition, it's been
Okay.
completely published, that we can come out and say this was a hyper premium production.
interesting.
But I'm very excited about it, so don't let me forget to tell you.
I'm excited too.
So that's coming. So everybody, you'll hopefully
Strap in.
strap in at
Tighten
some
your
point.
belts.
You'll have to come across this organically in some other way. I mean, I'll have some guerrilla marketing. I think I'm gonna. Well, whatever.
Speaking of findability, so Chris's brother
Yes,
found our podcast.
just randomly.
Not found it. Sorry. He drug it out of Chris. Apparently, Chris had mentioned that he was on a podcast, and his brother Jason was like, he told me that he had to drag it out of Chris what the name was.
Okay, well, I got to put it out now. I got to put our episode, Chris and I's episode, out now
Oh yeah.
because I don't have a hyper premium logo yet. You know, I texted
Okay.
you and Chase.
Yes, and I didn't respond.
That's okay. That's
I
all right.
want to see. I was gonna follow up with you today. I want to see it on the computer or something bigger for
Okay.
one thing, because you
Yeah.
know what my screen looks like.
Yeah,
It looked cool when it was an inch and a half tall. I would like to see it a couple inches bigger
Okay, good. Well, I got it.
and talk more about it. And I don't know the person that Chase referenced, so it was useless for me
You
to.
don't know. Well, what did he say? The guy that directed Eyes Wide Shut and
Haven't seen it.
Really?
No.
Eyes Wide Shut.
You can keep going,
dude,
but you'll probably be
Eyes Wide Shut,
disappointed.
you got it, dude. Okay. I mean, Eyes Wide Shut is such a big. It's funny that Chase was like, "Oh, it's too much." For that guy, I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah. The name sounded familiar, to be fair, to me.
Yeah, it is. He's a very famous director. He did Eyes Wide Shut. He did The Shining. Did you see The Shining? Well,
horror
Eyes
movie.
Wide Shut is very much like that aesthetic in that movie is very much what I'm pulling from.
Shining's a horror movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Is
It's not a horror movie.
More like a thriller movie.
It's just creepy. Yeah, it's
Okay.
an ambiance scary movie. It's very fascinating.
Okay.
Stanley Kubrick. That's the director.
what he said?
Yeah. I thought that's what he said.
I don't think so. We'll go back and look,
Okay,
but I'm pretty sure
okay.
it's not No, he may have said
I
that.
think it was Kubrick because I remember reading it and being like, "That's crazy." I remember him saying that and me being like,
I thought you would love that.
"Well, no." I was like, "Oh, dude, it's too Kubrick-esque," because I was like, I wasn't necessarily aiming at that, but I was aiming at like I want something monolithic, something mythical, something vague, something impending.
We can talk more after. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would love to.
Yeah. I'll
Because
show it to you.
I love the art and the yeah. But I was like, there's nothing I can say on text. I guess that would be.
Yeah, I'll show.
I liked it.
Yeah, we'll look at it
It's cool
afterwards.
looking.
We'll look at it afterwards. But yeah, so I haven't had that logo, so I haven't.
You haven't put anything
I
out
haven't-
for Hyper Premium.
Yeah, I've just been doing this because I haven't had a hyper premium logo.
Right. Because Work Hard's got that.
Yeah, Workhard's got the big dominant
Yeah.
brand. Yeah, and so I just want, like, I want to rebrand like the Substack and everything with the hyper premium logo.
Okay.
And I've got the picture that I'm going to use.
Jason was saying it was hard to find.
Yeah.
He said it was like as if it's really exclusive.
Yeah. We just gotta. So my wife's cousin owns a digital marketing firm.
Okay.
So he doesn't know this. So I mean, there's no way he's gonna hear. I mean, he might hear that once I hit him up and he goes and listens to this, he might hear this. But I'm gonna hit him up to see what it might cost to retain them.
Okay.
And then maybe he'll pass me a couple free tips on how to like properly optimize SEO.
Okay.
Just get out there. So
Cool.
that hopefully that'll pan out soon. I just got to get the cash flow in for that.
I
But
need to see our time.
oh
here.
yes, sorry, I forgot about that.
That's all right. We got 4 minutes until it's subject time.
Yes, 4 minutes till it's subject time. I didn't bring mine.
You talked about your idea.
Yes.
And then I derailed you somewhere else.
Oh
talking
yeah,
about
talking
findability.
about findability with Chris. Yeah. Well,
Prior
I
to
mean,
that anyway.
yeah. The just guys, be on the lookout. Look out for something spooky and mysterious out there. You might, and that might be me making something for everybody to be entertained. Yeah. So I'll give you a little hint. I've been doing a tremendous amount of research into Gnosticism. So that's the hint I'll give everybody. If you can recognize in 6 months, if you see something that you can identify with Gnosticism and it's vague and weird, then you know it might be me. We started recording because I was going to tell you this story about when Abigail was born. I sleep with a CPAP. I've slept with CPAP since I was a kid, and so I have to use it, or I can't sleep. And the week Abigail was born, I got my nose cracked at the gym, which is not. You can think of it as like an ankle sprain,
Okay.
but for your nose. So I didn't break it, but
it's sore as all get out.
It's swelled up, closed completely, and that's what I use for my.
Oh, you have the nasal kind.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
not
nasal kind.
Not
for
the
my-
Darth Vader.
Yeah, not the Darth Vader mask. I've got the Bane mask. Well, I guess Bane's mask also covers.
No, Bane was old. Yeah.
Well, whatever. Yeah. But I've got the nose mask, and so I have to have my nose clear.
It's more like Jedi breathing device underwater and on
exactly.
Naboo.
Yeah.
It's like it's small, compact.
Yeah. And so I had to use Afrin so I could sleep because I have a newborn.
Oh, okay.
So I have to sleep. Like I can't not sleep with a newborn, especially with my first newborn. You know, it's like I got no option. So I just used Afrin for the entire time my nose was messed up, and by the time my nose
the
healed,
swelling?
to reduce the swelling, and by the time my nose got done healing, I couldn't not use Afrin because my nose would swell back up because Afrin after a while causes swelling. So I don't know how it works. You go effectively into remission from like an Afrin addiction, and your nose swells shut. So for a year, I had to use Afrin like 3 or 4 times a day just to be able to breathe out of my nose. Now I'm gonna have to edit something out. I'm gonna have to go back and edit. Someone at our church.
You should have seen the face and the fist clenching frustration over that slip.
Somebody at our church gave me steroids. Gave me like an oral steroid to take.
You're really gonna have to edit that out.
Yeah. Well, she gave it to me. She gave it to me all under. It was all good. She like wrote an actual prescription and like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was all.
Gotcha.
It wasn't like I went to the pharmacy and got it and like.
Okay.
So it was all.
I got
That was all. It was all normal.
Okay.
But that's what it took. It took a lot to get my nose cleared up.
Yeah.
But the reason I was telling you that story is because the first episode with Chase and I that I recorded, I forgot to do Afrin before I left the house. And so we're sitting there, and over the course of the episode, you can slowly hear me start to sound more and more and more like this until I'm mouth breathing and talking like this into the mic.
That's Chris's episode?
No, that's Chase's episode.
Chase's first episode.
Chase's first
Vision episode.
Yeah.
I think we should put titles on instead of episode numbers.
Okay.
Otherwise, if people like an episode, they're not going to remember which one to go back to.
That's a good point. Yeah. Okay.
So I think the number along with the title would be cool.
Yeah.
Plus, finding titles for things is the most fun thing about writing or designing something.
Yeah.
The title for an essay or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The hook.
We can do that. We can change that up. Cool. So, 10 minutes in, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I had show notes, but I left them my phone is in my car.
You had show notes for this show?
I had show notes. Yeah. There was a couple things I wanted to breach before we got into the topic, but
about roots? Okay. Before the topic.
Yes, before the topic.
Okay.
But I just got on I interacted again with a Wendell Berry person, and so I got on my high horse.
Barry Wendell?
Yeah, Barry. Well, not Barry. I didn't interact with Barry Wendell. I'm actually not really on Twitter anymore. I just stopped using it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I think I've tweeted once in the past. Dude, you know what I found out? I found a thing that lets you, I don't know how it works, but I ran it multiple times off of different IP addresses to test that it's a real thing. So it's really scanning your account, but it detects how many people have blocked you. So I have 200 followers on Twitter. Take a guess how many people have blocked me on Twitter.
1,500.
No. Thank goodness.
Not
700 people have blocked me on Twitter. More than 3 times the amount of people have followed me. So I thought, all right, obviously I'm not made for this platform.
People.
Yeah. That's why I made the Instagram for Hyper Premium. I was like, okay, obviously
we'll try again.
Yeah, we got to try a different
Fresh
strategy
start.
here. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So
before you go, we should go out and take a work hard picture to post.
Yes.
Something with the feel. I don't know.
We should. That's a good idea.
I can hold a post pounder in my hand. It could just be the back of my hand across a field or something. Or a machete. I've got a machete.
There you go. Yeah. I got it. We'll take
out here clearing some woods today after the podcast.
Yeah, dude. We'll get some content.
Yes, sir.
So, our topic, we're 10 minutes in. We're 12 minutes in. We're a little late, but that's all right.
All right. I wanted to talk about, and I didn't, so I wanted to talk about the importance of putting down roots and how that affects your ability to form a community that is bonded.
Yeah.
There are some plants, that you go out and you pull up, and they're very easy to pull up because they've just got kind of a small taproot or a very shallow little fibrous root system, and they pull up easy. And there's other ones that just entwine like crazy, and you'll never get them out at all. There will always be pieces of them left in that root community.
Yeah.
So part of what interests me about this topic is because I moved, halfway across the country to be here, and so I tore up a lot of roots to do that. I was thinking the other day about I'm a bit jealous of people who can say I'm a native born whatever and they're still there.
Yeah.
That's something I wish I had. I'm a Californian by birth.
Yeah.
My parents moved when I was a year old or so I didn't even grow up there.
Yeah.
So I always felt weird whenever somebody would say, oh, you from here? Like in Oregon, I felt like I always had to say, well, I was born in California but raised here.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a true Oregonian either.
Yeah.
So in a sense, and now I'm not a true Texan at all.
Yeah.
Like I'm an adopted transplant
right.
Texan.
Right.
So like I'm more or less fully identify with the Texan identity.
Right.
Which is why we picked it.
Right.
We chose it on purpose, which by the way, so we've talked about immigration and stuff like that. When you move to a new country, you better adopt the new country as your own, which is what we're doing with Texas. So I'm trying to live that out.
Yeah.
It's like I'm putting Oregon and California in the rear window.
Yeah.
And they're beautiful places. and it's a place I'm from, and it's part of my background, and it influences me, obviously. But this is where I'm putting my roots down.
Yeah.
And I literally hope to God that I don't have to move again, because I don't want to tear up. And because it's not just me. When you rip up a plant that's surrounded by a bunch of other plants, you're not only ripping off roots of the plant you pulled up, but you're disturbing the soil all around it, and you are ripping up other roots as well. So part of what I wanted to talk today is about, you have to weigh those things. We felt when we weighed things that it was worth the damage and the pain that we would go through by tearing ourselves out of the community we were in and trying to transplant into a different one.
Yeah.
Because things, and this was for long-term goals. Again, I think we've talked some about, you need to be looking ahead to your great-great-great-grandchildren.
Yeah.
That's why we made this move. We didn't make this move because it was more comfortable for us, because it's like, I could have dealt with, at least for a good while, the water you're in, you don't notice the temperature of it until you get out and get in a different pool.
Right.
So, there's more and more trans people showing up on the street, more colored hair, more this or more that, more people wearing foxtails and cat ears and things like that.
Yeah.
Walking around like Japanese anime characters, and you're like,
Yeah, maybe it's time.
No, I mean, if you're there, living in it, you acclimate to it. Is my point.
Yes.
My point is that if it was me and not my great-grandchildren that I was thinking about, I probably would have stayed.
Right.
I was forced out of it by something I wasn't willing to put up with, which was the vaccine mandate.
Right.
So that's why we ultimately, that was the Kickstarter. We had been thinking about leaving in the future, but... So you are a native-born Texan.
Yeah.
So you get to say that.
Yeah.
If you don't ever move out of state, then you have the different from me. You get to say, I've always lived here.
Yeah.
My parents have lived here. My kids have lived here. You have generational roots.
Yeah.
Here, and we're just starting out. My root base is pretty shallow still.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I think your root base is pretty deep at this point.
Sure, yes.
Yeah,
I just mean as far as time, though. Time.
Yeah.
So generationally,
yeah,
we've sunk our roots down as deeply as we can, and we're continuing to sink them down. So I think we've been putting out roots very aggressively. So I don't mean to say that we haven't really found our community yet, and it's like, we've found our community, and we are participating as hard as we can.
Right. Yeah, and I am from here. I was born in Dallas.
Yeah.
And raised in East Texas. So, I mean, I'm as East Texas as, short of being born in one of the hospitals here.
Yeah.
Dallas is East Texas.
Is it?
It's the hub.
I thought it was central.
Depends
sort
on
of.
who you ask. Yeah.
But also, I guess, the further back you go, the hospitals really would have all been...
Yeah.
The hospitals out here aren't the big ones.
Right.
So you'd have to be Shreveport or Dallas if anything major happens.
Right.
You're getting shipped out.
Yeah, you're getting flown to Dallas.
Right.
Yeah, so I grew up out here. I don't remember. I guess that's not true. I have, I don't know. I might have some memories of being in Dallas, but I don't think I do. We were on the east side of Dallas, so we were an hour from where we live now. So I'm from out here. My family, my grandparents, they all live out here. My parents live out here. And I will say in Austin, I did not feel at home at all. I was in Denton for college, and that felt more like home because that's in the Dallas area.
Okay.
But in Austin, I did not. I never felt. I felt transient for sure.
Mm.
And then
just passing through.
Yeah, just passing through. I just came here to find a wife. Then I found a wife and checked out.
Got out.
Yeah, quick drive-through order. Yes, hi. I would like a tall blonde.
Yeah.
Do you have any blue eyes? I'll take one of those.
Spotted one in the field, clubbed it over the head, threw it over your shoulder, and dashed. Got out of Austin.
Yeah.
Go.
So that's how. Yeah. I'm from here, and the thought that I had the angle I was going to take was, and this is funny, the angle I was going to take, because I feel like I am, like, in the past I've been so, hold on, changing the levels. Here we go. I wanted to turn myself up a little bit. In the past, I've been so, like, pro capitalism, pro progress, pro technology, but the angle I was going to take today is talking about the negative effects of, like, consumerism, and market economies and big complex economic structures, because you do get even in places where there's like, I'm from here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from here. Things get so marketing heavy. They get so like plastic and polyester.
Do you mean businesses that say East Texas whatever?
Yeah, East Texas
just
whatever.
like it's their name is.
Yeah, one of the things that I to make it practical, there was this bar that me and my friends used to go to all the time in Austin. It was our favorite bar. And it was on 6th Street, which is Austin's
party scene,
that's
right?
Austin's, yeah, but that's like Austin. Like, there's
Okay.
nothing more Austin than going to 6th Street. And we were on 6th Street, and Emily and I had found each other, so we might have been engaged at this point. But I was standing in line for the bathroom, and I turned and looked at the wall, and this wall I've seen a dozen times, and it's all wood. And it's like, it looks like old wood, whatever, like it's been here forever, like all the other bars on 6th Street. And I just took my thumb and I pushed my thumb into the wood, my thumbnail, and it wasn't wood. It was vinyl.
Oh.
Made to look like old wood. And I just had never touched it. And I was like, huh. This isn't some old bar that's been here forever. Like, and that was
It's
like
a
the
poser.
moment when it all started to sink in, where I was like, Austin isn't cool. Like, Austin is just North American city number 143. Like, there's nothing here that's like anything that has been, that was traditionally Austin, that was roots, that was organic, that was historical. All that stuff's been harvested out by the companies and repackaged and sold in this like marketed new media style, Apple, Google, whatever. I mean, minimalism kind of thing. And it's just been captured and harvested and mined out. And then they distilled out all the things that they could tell people thought was cool, and then repackaged it and sold it to us. And so it's not real anymore. And so it's very, very hard. If you're going to be a plant that's trying to grow deep roots, you can't do it in a field made of concrete. And so it's just not, it's very, very difficult, I think, if you're in a city, I think it's really difficult to put down roots and to be human in an environment that is very plastic. And I think practically what that looks like is that people don't know their neighbors. I mean, we lived in a really like a nice condo community with an HOA, and it was just, we knew the people across the street from us, but I never spoke to them. And then we had that and Indians who ogled my wife, and that was it. Like neighbors we didn't know, and Indians, and it's just like that is not. You can't put roots down in an environment like that. You just can't. You're fighting an uphill battle, especially if the people around you are foreigners. You can't.
You don't identify.
Yeah, you don't identify. Especially those people are foreigners and they're making no effort to not be foreign. Like, they're just making stinky curry and taking walks, holding pinkies. Like, it's just not.
Holding what?
Holding pinkies. Indian guys hold pinkies when they walk together. They'll link their pinkies and walk. So
sorry, India, but to Americans, that's incredibly effeminate.
Yeah, that's
super gay.
Mad gay, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's not where you come from, but if you go into a culture where that is effeminate,
yeah,
you're now being effeminate.
Yeah, you're now being gay. Yeah. When you walk into cowboy hat,
if you choose to change into a different culture, you need to adopt.
Yeah.
You need to stop kissing other men when you move from the Middle East to America.
Yeah.
Because it's now considered homosexual.
Right.
It's not a way to greet someone.
Yeah. Put on the boots, put on the
I know
jeans.
Jesus did it, but that was in his culture.
Yeah.
Jesus wouldn't do that in North America.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
He wouldn't be like, why aren't you guys more like the Middle East?
Yeah, exactly. Why aren't you guys more like the other place I created? I want you to be less like the way I created it here and more like the way I created it over there. Obviously, this was a mistake here.
Yeah.
It's better there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, as far as setting down roots goes, I would suggest finding a place that's organic. I mean, I've been to a couple cities that are organic. I think there was a time, the last time I was in New York, it still felt very organic. Kansas City is very organic. So there are still places you can go, I think, in cities that are like population hubs that have the ability to find people who are not just consuming mouths and interact with them. I think that's certainly possible. I think there were Portsmouth in New England seemed pretty organic to me. It seemed pretty homegrown, pretty human. So I think there are still cities out there that are like that have not been harvested yet, but there are certain, like, obviously there are aspects of New York that are harvested, and I haven't been there in a few years, so I don't know what it's like now, but, the last time I was there, it was New York. It was great. There's just no other city. There's just really nowhere else in the world like New York. It's pretty wild. Yeah, so yes, roots. Those are my roots. That was my original thought. Happy to expand on it. What are you thinking?
All right, so you've got roots here.
Yeah.
Longevity.
Yeah.
But it's also possible to have longevity in a place and not have any roots.
Okay.
Like there are people who are, well, to some degree, you can have shallow roots.
Yeah.
You can't refuse to participate entirely, but you can be emotionally withdrawn to the point where you don't have any roots that really matter. They're easily ripped up and you wouldn't miss them. That you think you wouldn't miss them anyway. People who leave their small town and never return because they hated it.
Right.
They've deliberately withheld a lot of root growth because they knew they never wanted to stay there.
Yeah.
I did not want to leave Oregon.
Yeah.
So I was trying to put down roots. I think I've done a better job of it here quicker because of life experience and knowing how to do it.
Yeah.
And it was also, the soil was more fertile in some ways for doing it. The kind of relationship that we've been able to find here at this church has been deeper or at least easier to get into.
Right.
It's like a combination of, the Bible Belt and Southern hospitality aids that, I think, as well as our church just being a genuine
human place.
Genuine human place.
Right.
And it attracts more genuine human people.
Right.
And the ones who don't, you see them. We have them there.
Right.
There's people who come to mind. You can see them come, and then they'll leave immediately. They have no interest in interacting.
Right.
They won't smile back at you. So
Right.
I don't know why they're there. I'm curious about some of those people. Sometimes maybe it's just crippling social anxiety, perhaps.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not really a desire not to interact. It's more of a fear of and being unable to actually interact.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's another kind of person. Someone who refuses to put out roots for emotional reasons. They don't want to become attached. They have damage or baggage in some way. And there's another kind of person, like kind of the transient, who maybe for work, there's some kinds of work. I'm thinking particularly of military families.
Yeah.
That have to pull everything up and move.
Right.
So I feel a lot of sympathy towards those people. It's not a lifestyle I would want to choose for my family. But then again, there's sacrifices do need to be made.
Sure.
Some people are called to make different kinds of sacrifices. That is a tough one, though. Having to pull up your family, your kids out of school, moving churches every year or two because you've been relocated, maybe to a different country.
Yeah.
So, like, you can't become part of a different culture that quickly.
Right.
And then come back and be like, yeah, you're in this port for 18 months, and then you're going to be on. So you're like, yeah, no, I'm not going to learn the language except to like say hello maybe at the bus stop
Right.
or whatever. You just kind of figure out how that society works before you move on.
Right.
How can you put down roots there? I think the advantage of having you can weather a lot more storms by putting down deeper roots as well. If you're surrounded by a bunch of other plants and your roots are all intertwined and someone tries to pull up the one plant, the rest of you are hanging on underneath,
Right.
holding on to the roots,
Right.
and making it really difficult for that gardener to pull
Right.
pull your friend out of the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
In this illustration, the gardener is bad.
Yes. The gardener is evil. Yeah. Evil gardener.
You know, Adam and Eve,
Right.
evil.
Evil. Pure, unadulterated evil.
Yeah, the plants were the good guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, bad illustration, but
Makes sense,
don't take it too far.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah. Yeah, I moved back. Okay, I'll say this. Here's what I'll say. There's a G.K. Chesterton quote. I say this all the time. I'm sure you've heard me say it. I'm sure I've said it on here before, but it's so appropriate for this. I got to say it. So it's the quote, and I'm going to butcher it. It's not, I even thought last night to look it up and have it on my phone so I could come down here and read it off, but I left my phone in the truck. The quote is something along the lines of, a boy will grow to be a man and go off looking to slay giants, go off looking for adventure to slay giants. He'll get far and he'll walk and walk and walk and come down the hill from his house and walk down the valley and get far enough to turn around and look back and see that his house was sitting on the belly of a giant the entire time.
Yeah.
The belly of a sleeping giant the entire time. And there's another quote. I don't know who this is by. I'm sure it's a British guy because this is an incredibly British thing to say. But it's that the mark of maturity is one of the marks of real sincere maturity is developing a love for your place of origin.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in high school, especially when I was in high school, I thought East Texas sucked. I thought it was for the dogs, and I wanted to get out of here so bad. I wanted to get into the city.
Sounds like a country song.
Yeah.
There's a lot of country songs about this.
Yeah.
Wanting to leave your small town, but then coming back.
Yeah, and I wanted to get into the city so bad, and where I could walk around, and there were things to do and people to see, and I was a artiste amongst a bunch of
hillbillies,
redneck oilfield boys, and and I went out into the cities, and went out amongst the other people that fancy themselves enlightened, and found that they were some of the most insufferable, ridiculous, unintelligent retards that I've ever been around. And they were also incredibly disloyal, and just had no ties,
no staying power.
Yeah, no staying power to anybody, no real ties. They drop a friendship at not even the sight of inconvenience, just at the sight that your friendship isn't going to be fun anymore.
Mm-hmm. It no longer benefits me in the immediate moment.
Yeah, in the immediate moment. And so I'm just...
So-and-so didn't go out on Friday.
Right. And so...
I guess we're not buds anymore.
Yeah, so I'm not going to hit him, whatever. It's just like... And so I found that to be incredibly distasteful and taxing and exhausting, and I didn't like going to Whataburger and having some woman not make eye contact with me when what you want for your order?
Oh my goodness.
And just put it in, not
It
even
drives
look at
me
you.
crazy. I don't want to complain about Zoomers, but like they need to make eye contact.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
The younger generation has a real issue with making eye contact.
Really?
Or just like service, like in service positions. So exactly what you're talking about, the Whataburger or whatever else. Just looking at you and actually smiling. I went to a gas station just last week to buy some ice. No, this week to buy some ice.
Yeah.
And I walked in and they were counting the cash register. 2 gals there, just sitting there. And I stood there. Neither one of them like looked up at me.
Yeah.
Nobody said, because I didn't know if, I felt like I wasn't supposed to be the one first talking.
Right.
Like when you go into a store, they're supposed to welcome you and let you know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like if they're like, hang on, the polite thing would have been to say, hang on a second. I'm sorry, sir. We'll be with you in just a minute. We have to finish counting the till, and we're at shift change.
Right.
Which is what I deduced was going on.
Right.
But then some cop came in and just bought dip. Later, I like wandered aimlessly off through the convenience store to like burn time.
Yeah.
I guess I'll check back later. And then I eventually went back up to the counter, still not holding anything, because I decided not to buy anything extra.
Yeah.
And like the one guy finally like looks up at me. He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "You're the rudest
That's crazy
person." I can't believe, and this is in a small town, unfortunately.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's not usually my experience out here. Even with young people, like
this was not. I guess these were not young people. I know it was a night shift, so I could see how they're
okay.
A bit more.
Yeah,
of
these are just the dregs.
Deadbeat, dregs. Yeah.
Okay. But like if you go to a city, and you try to, unless you go to a nice restaurant, it's entirely staffed by dregs, and so it's just it's very hard to.
If you're listening to this, don't be a dreg.
Yeah,
if you're listening to this, I'm sure you're not a dreg.
Yeah, and if you're
desiring not to be a dreg, if you're listening to this,
if you are a dreg and you can't find yourself, if you can't get yourself to look up and make eye contact with people at your fast food job, and you're listening to this, just quit your fast food job, dude.
Start looking at people.
Yeah,
I disagree. Look at people.
All right, yeah.
Be content with the job you're in.
Yeah, be content with the
right?
job
That's
you're in.
That's
better
loyal
advice.
thing.
Don't
quit your past, unless we've talked about this previously. When it's right to leave a job,
right?
There are right reasons, but don't quit it because you're like, I'm not having fun.
Yeah,
this isn't fulfilling for me. Yeah, of course it's not.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, you're not doing anything
because you're not invested at all.
Yeah,
it could be. You could have fantastic customers and coworkers, people you know regularly who come through there.
Yeah,
have a ball at your Whataburger job.
Right.
Be joyful.
Right. And it's very postmodern. That's the ideology that has like uprooted human ties, is this postmodernism, this like skepticism of grand narratives, this idea that like things don't matter. Everything's in a state of change, and so it's all relative and transient and irrelevant, and you can just kind of treat the world as your plaything, and like all of that stuff is a mind virus that will counteract your ability to develop roots. So I was saying, I moved out, went to the city, and became quite disenfranchised with it. And I lived in cities. I lived there from 21 to I lived in cities for 4 or 5 years, and so I gave it a good run. I lived in multiple cities. It's just not my style. There are plenty of cities where you can go where it's not that way. Where I've had, great experiences. New York people are extremely personable. Like every dude is like, you walk in, he's like, "Hey, yo, how's it going? You want a hot dog?" Like every guy in New York's like that. Every guy, every dude working at a bodega.
Hey, you want a slice?
Yeah. Every guy's like that.
I haven't been.
How can I help you? They're all like that.
I was not at all interested in going to New York until I met you.
Okay.
I was like, I would stay as far away from that place as
now
possible.
You might want to. I don't know what it's like now. I haven't been in a few years. I haven't been since it's gone downhill. I hear from all the other people that I knew that are really into New York who have been there recently are like, dude, it's not.
That's really sad.
It's
COVID killed it.
Yeah, because there's just nothing. There's nothing else. Like I went to Toronto for work recently, and it kind of had the New York vibe, but still wasn't quite there. And there's just so much history in New York, and there's so many people that you get the revert. Like you go full circle eventually, where it's like you get so many people that things start to break down into the boroughs, into the neighborhoods, where it's like the population becomes so dense that you get stores and jobs and everything inside just a few blocks.
Yeah.
And so you can live in this one little area and never leave it.
Right.
It's like a square mile area, and you don't ever have to leave it. You can work from there. You can buy all your food there and everything. And so you get this environment where like people just know
Whereas
each other.
I have to drive 30 miles to
right.
work.
Right. Exactly. And so people just know each other.
Yeah.
And so you get into the middle of that, and it's just unique. It's very different.
That is cool.
Yeah. But I think crime's gotten so bad there, people are keeping their heads down, so they don't come out when they don't have to, and
right.
Yeah.
So that destroys the community if people are afraid. They're
right.
not going to interact.
Yeah. It turns out crime's bad. Who would have thought?
Turns out.
So I did some time in the cities and had a good time there, but ultimately we came back. My wife had always lived in the city. My wife had never lived in a small town.
Okay.
And she got out here and she was like, it was a culture shock. She would,
Yeah.
we would order food from a place or whatever, and we'd walk away. She'd be like, people are so nice. And I'm like, yeah, this is what it's like when people are human beings. They're
That's
not.
why I brought you here.
Yeah. And so she's become adamant of like, if it is not God's will, like if God does not force us to move, we are not moving. And and I'm like that too. And so the point that I wanted to make was that forever I thought this place was terrible. I thought this place was awful. It was boring. There's nothing to do. And now that I'm an adult and I'm more mature, and I have and now I'm a believer, which is a huge part of it. I'm able to recognize truth and beauty, goodness, truth and beauty. Mm-hmm. And I can recognize this place for what it is. And I literally get moved to tears.
Yeah.
Driving home now, just at how unbearably beautiful this place is. It's just, I have so much tie to this area. And now I feel like East Texas is part of my identity. And I think that's kind of what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
When we're talking about roots, is that there's a reason why men fought and died for patches of land.
Mm-hmm.
Like they get
There's
emotionally.
a reason that there's country songs and real life stories and Up, the Pixar movie Up.
Yeah.
Where the old man will not sell his house.
Right.
He's got this little house, and the construction workers are like, "Hey, we'll buy it off your hands for 3 times the amount that we offered you last time." You know, skyscrapers going in all around.
Yeah.
It's like, no,
not
he
gonna
doesn't
sell it.
like it. Money has nothing on roots.
Right. On the memories, I was just telling Emily about this. We were driving down the exact same road that this story occurs on. In high school, I picked up my buddy, and we used to, we were like best friends, and we'd drive around all the time in town, just bored out of our minds, going to get pizza, messing with people. And I picked him up. I was the one that could drive, so I would always drive us around. So I picked him up from his house, and we were just whipping down the road, and I was just telling him about my day, telling him what was going on. He was like, "Oh yeah, okay, cool, whatever." Yeah, just being super casual, normal conversation. And he's looking at me, I'm looking at him, we're talking, and he starts to roll down the window as he's looking at me, and he goes, "1 second," and leans his head out the window, and there's this couple walking down the side of the road on the sidewalk, and they've got like grocery bag, they've got something in their hands.
Yeah.
And he leans out of the car and goes, "Ah!" as loud as he can.
That spiked my mic too.
Yeah, good. And screamed. Just screamed as loud as he could out of the window, and it scared the woman, and she went, "Oh!" and threw the bags up in the air.
Oh no.
And it's like, that's one of my fondest memories of just like the harmless little mischief we would get into, and the
harmless except for the groceries.
I don't know that it was groceries. I mean, they had bags of something. In my mind, it was, because they were by the mall, walking away from the mall. So in my head, if I remember correctly, they had like mall stuff in their hands.
Gotcha. Throw that away.
Yes, and of course
he was doing them a service.
Yeah.
Don't be attached to your materialistic consumables, ma'am.
Your mixed cloth polyester clothes are going to give you cancer.
Yeah.
Shrink your balls. Yeah. So
you don't need another lace thong.
Yeah. And it's like that. Like I have so many fond memories. Like that memory I told the story on the podcast about the girl who I got in the back seat in the woods. I took her. We were at this party and we were driving around, and I got lost, and so we had to sleep in my car. Remember this? Did I tell you this story? Whatever. I sat in the back of the car, and she just like looked at. She turned around and looked at me from the passenger seat and looked at me and went, "I'm not having sex with you." And I was just like, "Oh." Okay. Yeah. And at the time, that was like cataclysmic. But now looking back on it, it's like obviously the right thing to have happened, and it's a great story. It's very funny, and it happened out here.
Yeah.
You know, and so there are like so many things that I drive around here now with my wife, and I'm like right there at that spot. This thing happened that was so funny and so fun, and me and my friends
called a ghost map.
Yes, yeah, that's what it's called, the ghost map.
Well, that's what I had a firefighter tell me that because firefighters and police, I'm sure, will have that. We were.
Oh, they have the reverse effect where it's like right there, that guy died.
Yeah. I was pumping on a guy's chest on that
A
sidewalk.
little more morbid, but yeah.
Or you just remember houses. I remember what happened in that house. I've been inside that house.
Yeah.
This is a cool house. That house looks nice on the outside, but there's like actually fecal matter everywhere inside. It's like they keep goats in their bedroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So stuff like that. It's a weird ghost map.
Yeah. Yeah.
Depressing. Some of it's very funny.
Yeah. Dude. So yeah, there's like that's roots, and that's what it means. And
Yeah.
and then eventually
To go
you'll have-
around and remember places and events.
right, and your children, talking about multi-generational, your children will have, this is where Daddy did this with me. This is where we used to go on our dates all the time. Me and my daughter go to one restaurant for daddy-daughter date. We go and get a bowl queso, and then we leave and we go get ice cream. Once every other week, once a week, somewhere in there. Like, she's going to have that in her head. And that restaurant is a place that my parents took me when I was a kid.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's so
And
cool.
so it's like, that's what we're
That's
talking
going to be
about.
devastating when that shuts down.
I know.
It'll be very sad.
Yes, it's going to be really bad.
But
I
you'll
will
always have the memories.
I will also-
You'll be like, yeah, where that bodega is now, that
Right.
used to be the restaurant where,
That's where
because the owners got old, they couldn't keep up with it.
and
whatever.
they only hire family members.
Oh, okay.
They've had that restaurant for a long time.
It'll be way more devastating to them to shut it down.
Yeah, I don't.
Even
yeah,
than to you.
It's kind of a staple, so I doubt it'll go. But even if it does, someone like me will buy the.
I would
Like,
hope
I'll
so.
buy the licenses to the recipes and open the
Right.
and just have it. Like I
Yeah,
won't
like,
let
please,
it die.
I want.
Yeah. Somebody like me or me will do that to that restaurant. So,
Good.
so that's roots,
Those are the kind of things you were talking about that have been siphoned off
right?
and repackaged and sold as
Chipotle.
nostalgic.
Yeah, nostalgia. Yeah. They're selling you
The
nostalgia.
Austin scene, the
Right.
fake wood, or even places that use recycled barn wood.
Right.
It's like you took something from the outside and you wanted this modern place to smack of rusticness,
Right. And it's
where it has absolutely no rustic roots.
it's
You stole it from the country where this barn was falling down.
Right.
And yeah, the wood is beautiful and cool. I'm not disputing it. I love a wood wall.
Right.
I love a barn wood wall.
right. Right. But it is
You are transplanting it to create an effect because and you know why it works? Because people inherently desire those old things.
right. Those old things.
We
those old
desire
History.
things that, yeah,
stories.
history, stories,
That's what
roots.
it is. It's stories.
You want to know, oh, this wall had a story?
Right.
That's so much cooler.
Right.
When microfarms started coming back on the scene
Yeah.
10 years ago or whatever, when I first became aware of them anyway, it's like people started to want to know where their food came from again.
Right.
There was a show called Portlandia,
Yep.
and there was a episode where they
Like went to,
a couple goes to the
yeah,
to the
they're
farm.
sitting at
They're asking the waiter or the
is
waitress
this,
all
and
the
this
questions,
is from I remember that.
and they're like, "Oh yes, this chicken. His name was Clarence.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He was a happy chicken. He was
Right.
pretty sociable, you know."
Right.
Or
Exactly.
they were asking, "Yeah, did he hang out with the other chickens, or was he kind of a loner? Was he well adjusted?"
Yeah. Exactly.
Which is an exaggerated and atheistic version of a good.
Right. Somebody
Tendency.
mocking. They're mocking the tendency.
Well, they're mocking something that became very real in Portland and
hipsters?
Oregon.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm saying, and the hipsters, they get that from they've taken Christian value for life,
Right.
and they've taken it too far because they don't recognize the boundary that God placed on it, saying this is animal life, and this is plant life, and this is human life, and they have different levels of value.
Right.
And so they've taken, and without anything to, without God's law to bind them and say, this is appropriate, this is not appropriate, this is more valuable than this. No, you don't sacrifice a human to save the animal.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. And
we have a bumper sticker Emily just bought because I used to have it on my old car that we sold before we moved here. But it was like a picture of a baby sea turtle, and it
Yeah.
says "Save the baby humans" on it.
Nice.
Because people get it
That's a good
so
one.
backwards.
Right.
They go berserk over like the baby sea turtles are. It's like, We're slaughtering human babies.
We're genociding
Why
them
do
in
you
the millions
care
a
so
year.
much? The same person is pro-abortion.
Right.
The disconnect there of you're like, you care about a baby sea turtle literally more than you care about
A human
a
being?
human being
Yeah.
because it's inconvenient to the mother. Well, that baby's not going to grow up. Whatever. We won't get into it. It's a whole nother episode.
Yeah. We should do an abortion episode, though. Yeah, the thing I think that I can say on that I can bring some of my knowledge to bear on is like, so one of the reasons why the selling you nostalgia, harvesting things out like a strip mine and then reselling it is bad is because when you have a restaurant or something in Austin that's being built and it's, we salvaged the wood from whatever and it's this thing from over here. What's happening is that you're getting investors from China or investors from the Middle East or investors from New York coming in and investing in a real estate portfolio that is managed by a development company from Chicago that has people working at it from all over the country, none of them from Texas probably, many of them foreigners from other countries, Canadians, whatever, all doing market research, numbers to decide, when we make it this shade of brown, more people move to this side of the room. And so there's no art, there's no beauty in that. It's all mechanical. It's Saruman, it's Sauron, it's Mordor. It's just industry. And it's not even industry from your area. It's industry from a foreign actor. It's industry from some investor in another country that's having a different portfolio management company in New York handle the development that's done by a company in Chicago, all for a building that's being put in Austin. Do you think for a second that they're going to keep that place open if it's got 2 consecutive business quarters of not making a profit? No.
What do we got here? Is this static from something crossing over?
Oh, it might be. I hope not. Good catch.
Maybe not soon enough.
Yeah, well, we'll see. So it's just like they're
So
not
it's
invested.
soulless.
It's soulless, and they're not invested in it. They don't care. They don't care outside of its ability
It's
to
an
generate
aesthetic.
a profit. Right. Unlike this restaurant where I took my daughter, where there's somebody there built that place with their life's energy. It matters more to them.
There's literally blood in some of the wood,
Right.
where they jabbed themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Like the person
They have literal DNA in the floorboards.
Yes. Yeah, and when that place stops turning a profit, if it ever does,
Yeah.
God
Shut it down.
forbid.
Oh, that place. I'm sorry.
That
I was thinking
place.
about the corporate one.
No, when this place gets shut down, God forbid, for not turning a profit, the the people are obviously, they're going to lament the lack of income that comes from that. Maybe they're probably going to be retired, but the thing that's going to suck, the emotional damage, the thing that's going to torture the father and keep him up at nights is the fact that he lost his life's work, the thing he put everything into. And so, geez, I'm sorry. You have any water? I just got a frog in my throat all of a sudden. It matters to him. The building matters to him. The food matters to him. Your investment in his investment and your investment in the environment matters to him. It all matters to him. And so without those roots, thank you. Without those roots, you're just a consumer and he's just a producer. And that's it. That's the nature of your relationship. And that's the nature of his relationship to the area. He doesn't care. So I think that's kind of what we're talking about.
Maybe we can draw a quick distinction between capitalism and free market societies.
Yeah.
I view capitalism more as just the bean counters. The money is all that matters.
Yeah. Mammon worship.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. That's where you get people who they'll get into bed with government because it makes them more money and more control.
Yeah.
Whereas a free market society could be small village where you have a blacksmith and farmers and
It could be anything.
there's one artist and what it's enough. You have to have a certain number of base producers
Right.
to support a fewer number of artists and whatnot.
Right. Artisans. Yeah.
And culture, that sort of thing.
Right.
We have an overabundance of creators and stuff like that right now who create a lot of rubbish.
Yeah.
Right now.
I mean, productivity is just so the market's just gotten so efficient that you just don't. What else are they going to do? We're figuring that out, but
yeah,
there's a new job out there called well, it doesn't matter. Whatever. That'll another episode. But yeah, I mean, I think and a point that Jason made earlier that I want to emphasize is that this like willingly pulling back, not investing in a community that is fertile ground like this, like being like me in high school, where it was like there's this beautiful place that is begging me to engage and fall in love with it, and now I found a tremendous where I thought was this like creatively stifling place that didn't have anything for me as far as an artist or whatever. Like a tremendous amount of my creative energy comes from the fact that I live in a cabin in the woods, and so much of my writing now reflects how much I love this place. The great battles that I am writing and the tribulations that the heroes go through is like a lot of that is like them fighting for a place and a woman that's worth fighting for.
Right.
And so you got to find a place and woman that's worth fighting for. You got to find roots, but that it may be wherever you're standing, maybe, and it may be you may be the problem. There's this guy on Instagram that I started following, this old black guy, and he lives in like Georgia or something, and he owns a plot of land that's not unlike this. It's not unlike this.
Okay.
It's on a hill. The grade of his hill's way steeper. So he's
poor man.
Yeah. He's cut.
I feel for him.
He's cut a part into the hill where he's got a nice like tow along trailer.
Okay.
And he built an overhang over it. He built a little outhouse, out kitchen, all this stuff. But it's like you can tell he did it. It's nice. It all looks good. He got a nice paved, like really nice concrete driveway, and he's always posting about the projects that he's hiring these guys, bringing them in here to do this, whatever. I'm using pallets over here, whatever. But he talks like this. And talk like that all the time, and he posts about the meals his wife makes for him.
Yeah.
And so he like the post that got me, the post I saw is he's sitting in his bed.
You said he's in Georgia?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
He's in Georgia, Virginia, somewhere with hills, somewhere with a lot of wood. Somewhere that looks like this, but isn't this? Yeah, Virginia's beautiful.
Oh my
but
goodness.
The post that got me was he's sitting in his bed and he's recording his plate of dinner, and he.
Almost, he's like hipster adjacent.
Yeah, hipster adjacent. Yeah, old black guy. Unk.
Old black jokes.
Yeah, Unk out here.
That's some worlds colliding.
Yeah, and it's just his plate. It's just a paper plate full of food, roast beef, potatoes, cornbread, and he goes. The video goes, look how Mama do it. He's talking about his wife. Look how Mama do it, and he pokes his fork into his cornbread. He goes, cornbread. Soft, butter down, and then he takes a big bite and goes, boy, and that's the whole post. And I was like, dude, this is the guy.
That's great.
And that guy is funny enough. Now, anytime my wife's butt is in my face, I grab it and go, soft, butter down. And
what is the second part? Butter down?
Buttered down, but
Buttered
he says
down.
it like an old black guy, so it's butter down.
Butter down.
Butter down. Yeah. And so my wife all the time now is dealing, like we'll be driving.
Has to deal with you.
Yeah, we'll be driving and I'll grab her upper thigh and go, soft. So this guy took what you can tell was at one point just a totally untamed.
I'm laughing. I've told Emily so many times. I was like, I don't think many women would put up with being such a grabby man.
Me?
No, me.
Oh, you. Oh,
no,
yeah,
I haven't. I did not tell you. I've told my wife this. Yeah. I've had conversations with your wife. Oh, I can't believe you let him grab you like that all the time.
I can't help it. There's so much to grab. So this guy is invested in his environment, and he loves it.
Yeah,
and he's so excited to be there. Like he's got this post of him.
I can relate.
Yeah.
I love this land every time I do something more on it.
Oh, of course.
It's so exciting. Like I was showing, Ethan was watching me do farm chores and
Yep.
walking along with me because I didn't get them done before he got here this morning. And I was showing him where the grass is greener after
Yes.
the chickens were there.
Yeah.
It's several shades darker green.
Yeah.
And it's thicker than the stuff next to it that never had chickens on it.
Yeah. And it's beautiful and it's awesome.
Oh, it's so cool.
It's so
It makes
sick.
me so excited
Yeah.
to build soil.
Yes.
And it's like, don't tell me that we weren't made to take care of things.
Right.
And if you say, what drives me the most, here's a pet peeve of mine.
Okay.
Saw this in a comment on some YouTube channel recently. Well, finally, people, it'll be so nice that when people realize that mankind's the most destructive force on Earth.
Oh, geez.
It's like, it could be, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, we've set off nukes and wrecked a lot of stuff.
Right.
But we also, so we have a lot of potential.
We have a lot
We
of
have
power.
the most potential and power to influence of any other force on Earth.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, outside of, obviously, so I'm excluding God and, like, nature, so I'm not talking about thunderstorms and everything like
Right.
that, but even that, we can match that with nukes and whatnot.
Dude, I mean,
And we can build structures that withstand those things.
Yeah.
And we can rebuild after they come through and wreck. Like, look at all the hurricanes that have come in.
Yeah.
Louisiana's still there somehow.
Right. Takes
I
a
don't
lot
know
of
why.
water to
I don't
sing
know
New
why
Orleans.
they keep on building there,
Yeah.
frankly. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I guess that there we go. Roots.
Right.
We're not moving.
Right. We're not moving.
Yeah, our house has been washed away 3 times. We're
Right.
still going to rebuild it.
Right. Is where we're from.
Start picking up the sheet metal. We're
Yeah.
going to tack it together into another shack. Look how Mama do.
Yeah. Look how Mama do it. Look how Mama do it. Cornbread. Soft.
Shack.
Yeah. Shay. Do this all day. Now, yeah. Me the boy can die. Yeah.
We go down the swamp.
Yeah.
Get a gator.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't pronounce the consonants too hard. That's how you gotta talk. It's all A's and H's and U's. Me the boy now, yeah. Yeah. And that's
Love it.
another thing, it's like,
Gotta love dialects.
yeah, and I can understand those people.
It's English, technically.
I was raised out here. So whenever
Yeah.
I talk I don't miss a beat. When some old black guy hits me with some thick southern accent, but I'm a cigarette
Louisiana
morning.
Cajun,
Yeah, something
deep,
like that. Yeah. Like
deep.
my family is on my dad's side, they're Cajun. So I went to many a family reunion where at
Yeah.
first I was like, what? Like I caught the word school in there. But now, like, there's
Now you pick it up.
yeah. So and,
You have
and
to, it's
that-
like anything else. You have to, any language, you got to listen to it enough.
yeah, but that builds like a point of pride, like Jason's grass, where you get proud that you can understand the like mangled goop mouth of your region, of your selected area, and
That the Yankees make fun of.
yeah, that the Yankees make fun of, and it's fun, and the people appreciate it, you know, and
Who appreciates it?
the people that are talking to you that have thick accents, you're not going
Oh.
what
Oh, gotcha.
what, you know, they're
Yeah.
just talking to you, and then you code switch a little bit. Like I don't think you've never seen me be around like good old boys. So I can't help
No.
myself. I'm like, oh yeah, what'd you say? Like I can't.
It's really hard. No, moving down here, it was hard not to try to. My friend and I from Oregon, we both had to be careful not to go too much into like a fake
Yeah.
Southern accent.
Yeah.
I didn't want to mock anyone, but at the same time, it's like I didn't want to stick out like a total sore thumb.
Yeah.
It's like I'm sure I still stick out
Yeah.
to
Not too
people
bad.
in the country.
Yeah. To people in the country, yes, definitely.
I mean, and I get like you don't have that accent either. Nobody from the cities.
no,
Nobody
I don't.
at church really has. Nobody in Tyler
No.
has the country
That's
accent.
the Dallas. We have the Dallas accent.
Except for my boss. My boss is.
Yeah. But when like the other day when I got my car stuck in the mud,
Yeah.
and it just, dude, if you get your car stuck in the mud out in the country, old guys come out of the bushes, dude. They come out from everywhere.
They're like, finally a chance to use my equipment.
Yes, dude. And there were so, like, within 10
Chance
minutes.
to get on the tractor.
There were like 4 old guys around me. And we were in like, there's one house.
That's what they live for.
I don't even know where they came from. Yeah. And they're just all there. And each one of them asked the same country joke. Saying, you're in the ditch. I'm like, yes, sir. Why'd you do that? All 4 of them. Same exact exchange. And all 4 times I said, well, seem more comfortable down there. And that's what I said to them. And they all laughed.
Yeah.
But as soon as
They're
I
just looking for a.
as soon as I start talking to those guys, I start talking like this a little bit more.
Yeah.
You
Get a
know
little
how it
looser.
is, brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't help it because I've just been down here for so long.
Thanks. I appreciate you.
Yeah, exactly. I get the same.
In Oregon, you'd say I appreciate it.
right.
You
Instead
never
of
say I appreciate you.
appreciate you. Yeah.
Appreciate you,
Or y'all.
y'all.
I type.
I
y'all.
think I said y'all a good bit up in Oregon just because I liked it. I would
Okay. Yeah.
pick and choose bits of various
Yeah.
cultures, little mannerisms,
Okay.
just for fun to try them on.
Yeah.
So I think I said y'all
Yeah. I type y'all.
up there before I moved down here, so that wasn't a. I didn't feel disingenuous saying
Good.
y'all.
Good. Yeah. It'll autocorrect. Stuff will autocorrect me to you all, and I will delete it. I'll delete you all and retype y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I meant y'all.
Yeah. That's what I
That's
say.
what I typed, computer.
Yeah. Yeah. So roots, man, it's important. It is a.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
You are missing out, and you very likely don't know what you're missing if you don't have the roots.
That is very
if you
true.
live in shallow soil and are used to getting washed out, or if you move for jobs all the time. I've got a buddy's buddy,
buddy.
who has moved out of Oregon to 5 or 6 different states.
Yeah.
Worked a job for a couple of weeks or a month and quit and come back. Absolutely rudderless.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
Yeah. And that's a good.
No roots.
I think that's a good point.
Gets excited about like this city, finds things he doesn't like about it, and moves back.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a great point to end it on is to make it, we're talking about this. Why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about roots? We're talking about it because it's so profound. And if you like, for real, if you're, this podcast is called Work Hard. It's about working hard. It's about developing yourself as a Christian man, not as a Jocko Willink man. If you are looking for motivation, because I think discipline is retarded, you will not do things you are not motivated to do. If you don't care about it, you're not going to do it. And if you want to care about the things you are doing them in a place that you care about is such a profound experience that you can't replicate anywhere else. And Jason is exactly right. As someone who was postmodern, atheistic, ANCAP punk kid who thought having roots was for
Losers.
uneducated retards, was for hillbillies, who went
which it was.
Yes,
turns out the hillbillies got that right.
Yeah, turns out being uneducated is a good idea.
Sometimes, it's best.
In an environment where education is a code word for indoctrination, then yes, being uneducated is a good idea. And from going from that to being saved to becoming a Christian, and going full C.S. Lewis, G.K. Chesterton, full Tolkien, the experience I have now is so much more meaningful and so much more fulfilling and so much more easy and peaceable and slow and quiet and enjoy. I mean, pick the adjective, but there's so much more peace in my life, and there's so much more motivation in my life because I'm working in a place that I love, and I know that the money that I spend in this place goes to something. Like I go to a grocery store that's headquartered here. Like the money's going here. I go to restaurants that are owned by people who are here. I make money and spend it on my property to develop my property, to get it ready for chickens and stuff and whatever. And maybe that's not your bag. Maybe you don't want to, maybe you do want a suburban, your little slice of the pie, backyard, whatever. Maybe you don't, maybe you want an apartment in New York or whatever. Like maybe that's what you want. Maybe that's where you feel at home, where you can build roots, and that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, you can still put roots. You don't have to literally be in a field to put roots
you don't.
down.
Yeah. You can still.
That was an
build
illustration.
community.
The garden.
Yeah, you can
Remember, the city of God is a city.
Yeah, it is a city.
Zion is a city.
Yeah.
So being in community and close proximity is not a bad thing from a biblical illustration point of view.
Right. And so roots.
We just think a lot of times it's done poorly.
Right. Exactly.
So is the country, though.
Yeah. So it turns out people do things poorly.
People do meth in the country still.
Yeah. Some of the most despicable people I've met out
in
here.
the country.
Yeah.
Or our hillbillies, inbred hillbillies.
Yeah, inbred, molesting, drug doing hillbillies.
Yeah. Turns out sin's everywhere.
Yeah, sin's everywhere.
Carry on.
So
back to you, Ethan.
Roots are memories. Roots are places like restaurants and movie theaters and bowling alleys and whatever, wherever you and your people are making these memories and hanging out. But one thing we haven't touched on very much, and I think we can do this right here, wrapping up in the next couple minutes, is that roots are people too. Mm-hmm. Roots are those friendships, those family bonds. It's not just me and my wife. It's me and my wife and my parents. It's not just me and my wife and my parents. It's me and my wife and my grandparents and my aunts and my uncles and my cousins. Everybody's out here. And you develop that. That's not something that you just get to. It doesn't just. I mean, yes, you can be born into it, like I was, and yet obviously you get to inherit that. But somebody had to do that work.
Someone had to start it.
Somebody had to get all the cousins born, give them homes, feed them, find them land to live on, or apartments to live in, or what like that. That work had to be done, and it took generations to do it. And
Ethan is further down the line in that respect than I am.
Yes. And so I get to enjoy a level of benefit from my grandparents and from my parents working to create those environments. Mm-hmm. And my daughter will get to enjoy, and hopefully my other children will get to enjoy. I say hopefully because I'm hoping to have other kids, not because I think that whatever, but my other kids will get to enjoy further the roots of my labor.
Right.
Adding on to the work.
Because you're adding on to it.
Right.
You're building on it.
And one of the great places, I will labor every episode to bring this back, because this is such a thing that I think is so vital for people to do right now. One of the great places to go and connect with other people and make friends like make a friendship like Jason and I have, like Chase and I have, like the interview I've done with Chris, you guys will hear eventually, but the interview that Chris and I have done, these friendships that we're building and forging is at a church. At a church. So a church is a phenomenal...
We would never have met each other, any of us.
Yeah, at all.
None of us overlap in any other way, I don't think.
No, Tannen and I do, because we both grew up out here.
Okay.
So we know each other.
You knew each other prior to...
Our families knew each other.
Oh, okay.
I had never met Tannen before, but Tannen knew my little brother.
Sure.
And his little brother and my little brother were friends, and he's married to a girl that grew up with my little sister. So... we may have ultimately met at some point, but we never would have met.
I may have met Chris through just because of homesteading, farming kind of things, if we ended up in the same communities or...
Yeah. So
Tannen
and I would not be talking every other day on the phone friends if it wasn't for church. Like it would just be a guy that I had come across once.
Yeah.
And I've cherished my relationship with Tannen very much, and he's been a very profound, good influence in my life. And that never would have occurred. Like this podcast wouldn't exist if it hadn't been for church. And so many of the things that Hyper Premium is starting to become in my head are because of the brotherhood. And like that the vision that I have for the future, the pub we talk about all the time, which
again is a roots and community thing where people will grow together is the idea. It's not a place we want to have a party atmosphere.
Right.
The pub idea is that it's like the old UK thing. You have small villages in the UK, and that was the community hub.
Right.
Everybody and their families went. It was a family-friendly atmosphere, and you'd stop by for a pint of something that tastes good, that's not a high alcohol. You're not trying to get drunk. You're enjoying a quality crafted beverage with friends and talking about the neighborhood news.
Right.
It's where you find out that so-and-so died, or so-and-so's sick, so-and-so needs help, so-and-so has extra rutabagas to sell.
Right.
Exactly. That's where the Post-it board is,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Commerce happens there. Friendships happen there. News happens there at the pub, and that's what...
Relationships are forged.
Yeah. And that's how the community grows strong. That's how you know your neighbors.
Yeah, you know your neighbors, and that is... a big part.
The neighborhood pub needs to come back.
Yes, it does. And we will bring it back.
We'll bring it back. By the time we die, hopefully there will be neighborhood pubs all over East Texas.
Hopefully.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. And that vision for my life, the efforts I've undergone, like those things have given me so much purpose. They've given me so much more drive. They've helped me feel less anxious about the job that I have that I don't like. And that's all derivative from church. So go to church, man. Find a church. If you are listening to this, please, please, please don't. Who cares about working out? Who cares about waking up
Football.
early or football or I'm thinking like personal improvement, the stuff you see online.
I see. I thought you meant stuff that happens on Sunday mornings.
Oh yeah, no. No. I'm saying, who cares about Jocko Willink waking up early? Andrew Tate, whatever. Who cares? Their advice is null and void if it has nothing to do with anything transcendent. And you will find transcendent relationships and a transcendent God at church. So please, please go to church. Find a town you like. Find a church you like with people you like and attend that church. I've said it before. I'll say it again. You don't have to have a perfect attendance record. I don't. Jason knows that. Jason's family's there like every Sunday. My family isn't. We're getting better at it. We're there more and more and more. But it's my primary friend group.
We're all on a spectrum somewhere there.
Yeah. And so just don't think the point is that don't think you have to do church perfectly. You don't have to do church you don't even have to do it well. Just do it. Do it badly. Show up, be there, get scared, run away for the first couple months, like go to one service a month and then panic and leave before you talk to anybody. And then finally someone will say hello to you and you can have an awkward, fidgety conversation with them. But if you just stay in the pocket, don't give up, you will eventually start to forge relationships there and start to build roots, and you'll start to have a community, and then you won't
be able to stay away.
Right. And then you won't be able to stay away, and you'll have this experience where you'll it's very funny. You'll have this moment maybe in your life where you'll have an opportunity to leave, or you'll think about, oh, there's this thing, whatever. Oftentimes I think about how cheap real estate is in Argentina or in El Salvador. and then I think about you guys, and I think about church. And I think about moving Abigail and Emily away from that and tearing myself away from y'all. And I think, whatever.
That's not worth having 300 acres.
F that. Like, I'm not leaving. This is my place, and these are my people. And you can.
But if the whole church decided to move to Argentina and
I'd
buy
be more
half
open
a
to
country
it.
worth, I will talk about it.
Yeah, I'll be way more open then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have to convince my parents, but if I could do that, then if I could convince both sets of grandparents, we'd be good to go. My parents would not be a hard sell on that, though. My dad is itching. He's
ready.
Oh, dude, he's itching for an excuse to become a South American man living on the beach. Itching for an excuse. So that we'll wrap it up there. Jason, you got any thoughts?
No, I think that's good.
Okay.
That's good there.
All right, guys. We love you. We are praying for you.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening. Be on the lookout for
mysterious things.
I
don't even know about.
Yeah, I'm going to tell Jason about it afterwards because I'm so excited. I'm bursting at the seams to tell somebody. But anyways, we love you guys. We are praying for you. Please find a church. Move your body a little bit. Try to stay healthy, but find a church. Find a woman. Have some kids if you can. And pray deeply, pray sincerely, love the Lord, read your Bible.
Pray for joy.
Pray for joy, pray for peace, pray for faith. We love you guys. We'll see you next week.